Welcome back to My Conscious Dad on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. If you're just joining us today, we're discussing conscious parenting. So before we went on the break, you kind of were going over a list that you put together in your years.
Yeah, and I'll continue to go through them, but it's not really about the list. I'd rather really talk about whatever comes up in the list. So whatever comes up that you think is something you want to add value to, or maybe share a perspective, or even help other people that are listening kind of understand what this is about. You know, especially for you that's been new on this journey, you know, you're learning a lot of distinguishing words that I use. My vocabulary through the years has become a little bit more advanced because I'm learning what words mean. And
I want to, before you move on, the last one you just talked about.
Don't take things personal?
Yeah, don't take things personal, as you and Jasmine were talking about, was huge because I can see myself, and as my son's sitting in here now, I know it was always about, don't disrespect me. You're not going to talk to me like that. You know, I'm your dad. You don't have a right to. Yeah. And that was, now that I'm hearing, that's the unconscious dad who is like making it all about them. It's like, how dare you? You know, I brought you into this world. I could take, those are all unconscious statements.
So imagine all those statements. If we take 10 of them and we looked at them, we put them all in a bag, and we created a self-limiting belief as the kid that hears those. What kind of self-limiting belief can a kid make up about themselves by hearing that constantly over and over again?
You're not good enough.
I'm not good enough for my dad. I'm not a good kid.
I'll never live up to my dad's standards.
Yeah, all these are the insecurities that our kids are plagued with, but they weren't born with it. They were born purely magnificent, pure spirit, pure loving, vulnerable, authentic, compassionate. As parents, in our environment, in the home that we created, in the way that we were expressing ourselves, in the way that we were articulating ourselves, in the words we use, in our actions, we're the ones that co-created those results, those self-limiting beliefs within our kids. And that's what a conscious parent does, is takes responsibility for that and says, you know what, my son or my daughter is a byproduct of my parenting. That's powerful. Rather than coming to me as a life coach saying, hey, can you fix my kid? She needs this. He needs that. And when I'm on stage talking to parents, sometimes I get parents that are heated at me, and they'll stand up and they'll challenge me because they want to be the victim. And they want to tell me how Jessica or Timothy is a bad kid and how are you going to fix him. And when I flip the script on them and I really start giving them a whole new perspective of looking from the powerful perspective, which is, how did Jessica get like that? Because Jessica wasn't born like that. Now it really forces you as a parent to look at yourself and go,
And they don't like that. And, you know, I even see that. I didn't know it at the time, but that's what I love. I get more and more conscious in being specific. But, you know, even when I work with people in weight loss, in the gym, I can't tell you how many people, you know, here comes mom, you know, she's 380 pounds. Here comes dad, he's like pushing 450. And then here comes the 16-year-old son's 380. And they got the 10-year-old daughter who's already 300 pounds, diabetic, you know, cholesterol through the roof, and they're looking at me, can you help me? I don't understand it. My kid won't stop eating. I don't know what. I look at them and I go, I'll say to them, I say, does your kid, how old's your daughter? 10? Does she got a driver's license? Does she do the shopping? And they look at you like, I'm like, yeah, I am. That's what I'm saying right now. She ain't buying the groceries. She's not driving to the store. You need to take a look in the mirror. And most of them don't like to hear that.
I know.
And you know, and going back to what you were just saying, which makes me, you know, sad, because unfortunately, most people will hear this. Some of them, like you say, have already tuned out because they don't want to accept it. But they're going to hear it and they're not going to do anything about it. And so, and it's like we live in. It makes me think. Are you going to try to tell me that a fly is smarter than you? Because a fly will bang, bang, bang until he finds the opening. These people, they watch their parents grow up like that. Then they became up like that. And now they're putting it into their kids. At what point are you going to break the cycle and, as you say, take responsibility and change it?
Absolutely. And as you're speaking, I'm automatically looking at the example that I was when it comes to my physical health, and what a poor example I was to my family, to my kids. And so when it really broke me down was when my youngest daughter really opened up and cried. And it's still, and I'm glad she did that, because it woke me up, and I realized that I want to be around for her wedding, and I want to be around for my kids and my grandkids, and my work's not done here on the planet. I want to make a bigger difference, and I can't do that if I don't have the vehicle. And so sometimes, having somebody point that out to me or you, if you're listening and you need to hear it, sometimes we need somebody that's raw and real about putting it into your face. Because had I not had, my daughter and, some good friends of mine that just broke down and said, I want you to be around. And I don't know what it was. It was another switch that was in my own self-worth box. I needed to flip and go, all right, I get it. And so I think that, people are in our lives and they're saying certain things that might be disturbing, but for a reason. There's, like you said, there's that fly that keeps bumping in because it's going to try to find its way out. It's going to try to find its breakthrough. And the only way that's going to happen is if there's other people in your life that are going to point things out to you and have the confidence and the surety to say, it's okay if I point this out to you. I'm your friend. I'm not here to be liked. And that's, I think sometimes we need that.
I say that, I say, I've said that to people before. And people get offended when you say it. I'll stand in front of my class and say, look, I'm not here to be your friend. I said, I don't really care if I upset you or not. I said, but one thing I can promise you, because in my world, we will meet again in a higher power, and you will not stand in front of me and say, why didn't you tell me? Because I'm going to tell you like it is, and as I'm getting bigger, more involved with this conscious thing, it's the same thing. When if you're listening to this message right now and stuff is hitting your heart and you're getting offended, you're getting tagged, as we call it, or upset, instead of shy, shame on you if you don't do anything about it, because now you had a chance. So, and that makes me want to ask you and Jasmine, so when let's go back a little bit when we were talking about with, my son's light shining and how parents, unconscious parents can squash it. So parents out there like myself that are hearing this and going, wow, that's me. And hopefully everybody does something about it, but most of them won't. So what's the consequence with your experience that if they continue to do this, what's the outcome of kids?
The outcome, and I see it probably one or two times a month when I'm in the training room, and it doesn't matter which teen training and what city that I'm at, and it doesn't matter which neighborhood I'm in, if it's the at-risk kids or it's the academy leadership kids, every kid has insecurities that are getting in the way of them reaching their full potential. Whether it's mastering their own self-worth and their own self-love, that's really what it's doing. It's depleting the emotional tank when it comes to self-love and self-worth is really what the drawback is. So that's the price that your kids are paying, is that they don't love themselves enough to rise above and to have some clarity and get clear about what's important to them and what really matters, and make choices from being principle centered and making choices that are value centered. They're lost and confused and they don't know who they are. And I think that's what you're dealing with if you're not waking up and realizing how to show up different as a parent, so your kids can realize how magnificent they are, that they're powerful leaders, and that they get to express themselves, and that they're unique. You're just basically unconsciously smothering their oxygen that they need so that the fire can keep burning.
So Jasmine, I'm going to turn on you. I've got some questions for you. So as a teenager who's, definitely probably more conscious than most teenagers, you have a conscious dad. I want to know, as a parent, what do you see as a teenager with these kids that are dealing with the stuff we're talking about? Are you seeing that these are the kids that are making decisions of getting pregnant too early, of making decisions of choosing drugs, or making decisions of suicides, or making decisions? Is that what you're seeing inside your world from a kid's point of view?
Yeah, some of my friends, when I was younger, in elementary school, we would all, hang out, mess around, and all of a sudden one day going into junior high school, we stopped hanging around and messing around because they didn't know how to be that way anymore. They didn't know how to just hang out and have fun, at someone's house. All of a sudden, they were going other places, like looking for drugs or alcohol to make them feel that way again, make them be happy or excited about something again. And I lost a lot of friends, not, luckily to alcohol or drugs, but I lost them as friends, just because they couldn't just hang out anymore. They didn't know how.
Well, the reason why they can't just hang out is because they're looking for something to feel complete that's external, that's outside of them. So they're all engaging into all these risky behaviors. Let's try this. Let's try that. Anything that comes that looks exciting to them, they need to jump into that so they can feel complete, so they can feel normal. If you talk to some of the experts when it comes to addiction, a lot of it comes from the kids when they start young, is because they're yearning to fulfill something that they feel is missing inside. And it takes that one kid to get a joint and just take that one hit, and they go, that's what it feels to feel normal. And they're already normal and whole and complete inside. The error is in their thinking that they're less than. The error is in thinking that they're not good enough, that they're not worthy. And where would they come from? How would they create all those self-limiting beliefs if it wasn't coming from our home environment? If it wasn't coming from the way that we were being raised, or the way our parents, certain things that they were saying that was unconscious. Now, I know in the bottom of my heart that every parent loves their kids probably more than they love themselves. So I know they're not doing it on purpose. It's just an unconscious act. When you're unaware, you don't know that you're doing it. You don't know that you're the one that's co-creating your kids to have those dysfunctions. And it's not until you wake up and realize it till it really hits you like a sock in the stomach. You probably have that feeling in your stomach right now. Do you not?
I've got it. It's so funny you say that. I've got so many feelings in my stomach, but I'm also thinking how blessed I am to have been working for you, because I'm still young enough in the training that I can still go on the wrong side. And the wrong side of me is he's coming in here right now big, because I know that there's a lot of parents listening to this right now that are going, are you out of your mind? There's no way that I'm going to let my kid eat with his mouth open. There's no way that I'm going to let him disrespect me. There's no way. And because that's just that total unconscious thing. This is crazy. These people are out of their mind.
And it all comes from fear. Mm-hmm. It's all fear-based. Because if any parent came to me and said that to me, and challenged me, the first question I'm going to ask them is, what would you be afraid of? You just throw 10 or 20 of those you just threw at me, that I'm crazy or you're out of my mind, because I'm not going to let this happen. The first question I'm going to ask you is, why? What are you afraid of? And if you got real and authentic and honest and answered that question, you would have your breakthrough. Because the answer would be, I'm afraid that they would think it's okay. I'm afraid that they won't make a course correction. I'm afraid that they're going to keep doing this. I'm afraid that, and that's really what it boils down to, is unconscious parenting really is generated by fear. You're parenting from fear and you don't know it. You're not aware that that's what's happening. And so the conscious parent is slowly starting to wake up and having the courage to really look at themselves and go, wait a minute, there's something going on here. And that's what I love about your journey. And I'm so glad that I got to be a part of it, because you're like a little kid in a candy store. Every time I meet with you, you're so excited to share with me the breakthroughs. And I'm sure that's probably what it looks like when I come to you and go, hey, just dropped another 3 pounds, and my face is lit. That's what you're seeing when we come and share to you like that, is what I see when you come and share that with me. It's really just being a lifelong learner and deciding I want to make that commitment to be the best dad or the best mom that I could be, and then deciding to embark on that journey.
Well, and then I got another serious question for Jasmine, but I'm not gonna, I'm glad we got back around to this, because I missed it. There's so many great things going on, but I really wanted to take a moment to say, especially in front of your daughter, as you were sharing there early, what hit me was, we were talking about some stuff earlier about something, how in all my years, 30 plus years of training people, I've never seen anybody with the commitment and everything. And I was talking about some people, and you were talking about how do they make other things more important, but they don't make themselves more important. But as hearing you share about how your youngest daughter, broke down, and seeing Jasmine, affected by that, and hearing you talk, it's like you show up, Alex, with such a fire And it's because you're fighting for this family. It's not, let me go get my workout and lose weight. It's like, you blow me away every time you show up in the gym, because no matter, sometimes I just throw stuff at you because I want to see if you'll do it. And it doesn't matter what I throw at you. You just say, do you think I could do this? And I say, yeah, and you do it. And you do it with such a fire and furor. And it's because of what you shared, because you want to be at that daughter's wedding and you fight. And it's just, you've tapped into this. And nothing's going to stop you.
Well, thank you for that. That is my why. That's what compels me to keep pushing. But I made a commitment when I made a commitment to you, and I don't know if I told you this or not, but I made a commitment that when I walk in through those doors, that I turn my life into your hands. And I made a commitment that if you said I can do this, I'm going to believe you more than I believe myself, because I have my own self-doubts and I have my own self-limiting beliefs when it comes to my physical well-being. And so I've already sold out to your training, to your coaching, because I know what it's like to not be coachable. When I get in front of clients and they're not coachable, it's like it irks me, because I want them to win so bad, and so I know what it's like to not be coachable. So when I signed up with you, I told myself I'm gonna be an example of what coachable looks like, so that I've earned the right that when I'm in front of people to call people and not being coachable. So what the commitment I made to you when I walk in those doors is, if I'm gonna keep going until I pass out. I've already decided that if I wake up and I look around and I'm in an ambulance and I'm going to be looking for you going, what happened? And you're going to go, you just kept going until you passed out. Then I'm going to be pointing the finger at you, because I've totally sold out. You have my life in your hands when I come in there. And that's the level that I'm fighting for, because I know that you're going to help me get to another 10 years, another 20 years, so that I can be around for these guys and help them raise those little babies. Because that's going to be the joy for me, is to be able to raise my grandbabies and be there and support my kids to help those kids be the best that they could be.
That's awesome. You've made it life or death. So, and you didn't share that with me, and that's awesome. That's powerful. And if everybody could tap into that, and I do the same, I'm just coming with faith, man, and it's working. So I love you, and I'm proud of you. Jasmine. So I got my middle son here. I know you're the middle child. I'd be remiss if I don't take the opportunity, because I think a lot of people see that perfect family as, let's have three. So there's always going to be a middle. So there's always going to be middle child.
That's right.
What's the middle child syndrome? Give us some insight, tips, something.
Well, first I want to start off.
Tips to all the parents.
Yes, please.
Yes.
First, I want to start.
My son's going, yeah.
I just want to start off by saying that middle child syndrome is a box that we get put in, and it's kind of hard to be the middle child, or it's challenging to be the middle child from the beginning, because you're in a box. You have your third kid, and all of a sudden you have this idea of what the middle child is going to be like. Oh, they're going to be trouble, or they're going to get jealous of this kid, or whatever. So it already starts off from the third kid's birth. But I do think sometimes I do play victim to the middle child. The baby gets the attention, and the older kid already got all the attention. So it's kind of like, especially for me, my mom had a baby a year after I was born. And I'm sure the same thing goes for Nathan. He probably had a rough time trying to get attention, or not just attention or love, but just to be acknowledged, or any type of growth. But
it's probably like my own acknowledgement. Where's my own acknowledgement? Because I see you acknowledge both of us, but where's mine? Just by myself. Sometimes I want things just for me, and I can see that being missing, especially as a middle child.
Yeah, but like I said, the thing that really gets me the most with being the middle child is being in the box, the middle child syndrome box, or just being put in this box. And that's more challenging to break out of. Personally, for me, it's more challenging to break out of than to, accept that, oh, maybe my parents, I'm not gonna, ever get the attention or the acceptance that I wanted, whatever. That I think I can live with. It's breaking out of that box that's the most challenging.
So what advice can you give us from your point of view, or that you've seen with your dad, that for us, let's deal with unconscious parents, because the conscious parents are probably hopefully a little bit on their way. So these unconscious parents, what kind of things can we look for or correct? Or I
would love to answer that question. I'm going to answer it actually Right now,
we're not going on a break.
Sounds great. Okay, we're just going to answer the question. I guess for the advice for parents, I would just say that I think, like you said, you're unconsciously not acknowledging your kids. I know you're not purposely just saying, I'm going to give all the attention to the other two. I'm just going to, I know you're not doing it on purpose. The biggest tip I would say is to just acknowledge it, to not say, oh, I don't do that. All you have to do is acknowledge and say, you know what, I think I might be doing that, and all of a sudden things are going to start changing. Obviously, you have to put in the work to go out of your way to acknowledge them or to show them extra love or whatever it is you think that you need to do, whatever. Maybe it's asking them, hey, I noticed that it could be a possibility that you're feeling this way. And
so what I'm hearing you say is the first step is to be honest enough to acknowledge it and be aware of it. And out of the awareness will be birthed the doing. I think you're looking for give me some tips of what to do. And I think it's just the awareness and the waking up and realizing that you're not conscious and present and really giving them that attention that they need. Out of that awareness and that awakening and that rebirthing, then all of a sudden you'll get the creative ideas of what it is that you need to do. But you have to first have the context breakthrough before you can have the content, which is the information of what I need to do.
And so, and to be aware, and then I'm thinking of, as I'm listening to you, and I'm sure with all parents with middle childs, this is probably the most common I get from Nathan. So what would be a good response to this one? Marcus gets everything, and Danica never does anything wrong. You did it. So, and then my response is, "What are you talking about?" He says, So
I think through the years, what we do is we collect evidence that we're right. So every single time Marcus gets something, that's on our list of all the things that Marcus gets that we don't. And I know that that's not exactly healthy, but you also have to acknowledge that that's how your kids are thinking and that's how we work. And, being the middle child, or maybe even maybe all kids do it. And the middle child's the only one that'll step up and say something because they acknowledge it more or whatever it is. But, I do the same thing too that Nathan does. I have this almost like internal list through the last 20 years of all the times my brother got away with something and all the times my sister got something and all the times I didn't. So I don't acknowledge all the times that I did. I only acknowledge the times that I didn't.
What if we didn't say anything? What if when that was your your grievance or your as a kid that you're responding and saying, my older brother gets this and my younger sister gets that and I don't get anything. What if as a parent we just listen to them? What if we just said, I know how you feel? Or what if we just quietly nodded our head and said, you know what, I'm going to consider that, or I'm really going to take a look at that, or I feel your pain. Maybe there is really no good response. I think you're looking for a great response, and I think maybe just in the silence and just hearing what they're saying and putting yourself in their shoes, just in the silence, you'll let it hit you. Maybe they just need to be heard. Maybe it's just they're venting. Maybe they just need to get that out. Or maybe they need some silence at the end of what they said just to let it land. Maybe they need to see you letting it land to you. Because a lot of times what I feel like is if he's saying that to you, I can already see you coming back with something. And that's validating to him, like, man, my dad didn't even hear what I just said.
It's also kind of funny that you would say, what are you talking about? Because you have no idea what he's feeling. And all the emotions and all the things that he's built up, you don't know about it. That's why you say, what are you talking about? But to him, it's real.
And maybe when you say, what are you talking about, could almost be interpreted as discrediting that what he feels is not legit or not really how he should be feeling. And so the cool thing about all these conversations is that we're allowing ourselves to get, really deep in analyzing some of this stuff so that we can have that awareness breakthroughs that we need as parents to be more effective. Because I know when you held these little babies in your arm in your 20s or in your 30s, you looked at them and you went, I'm gonna fight for you for the rest of my life. And it's sad, but there's a lot of parents that forgot that they made that commitment to that little baby. All of a sudden, when it gets challenging, it just goes out the window. And what if we just took a moment and said, you know what, I'm going to make a recommitment to my kids. they're 12 now or they're 15 now. I'm gonna take a timeout like all championship teams do. Let's take a timeout and let's go into the locker room and let's make a recommitment. Let's re-ante up. And so I don't know if you were out on vacation, but I haven't gotten a chance to tell you that I have a conscious parent training that I got really excited about creating in February. And I launched it right after the teen training, and it went that night halfway filled. We're now like, I think I only have like 6 more spots left.
Oh, they told me we're going.
Okay, good.
Yeah, my kids told me we're going. So they were like, "Oh yeah, you're going, Dad."
Yeah. So this training, I'm glad you're going, but there's a lot of people that could be going that haven't decided that it's for them yet. This training is for advanced parenting. It's for the inner champion in you that decides, I want to learn how to reinvent myself so I figure out how to have my kids win. Go to my website, www.alexurbina.com, or come to the KHTS website and look for it. You got to be there.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us today, Real. We're going to be back next week. All right, here.
Christmas time.
Oh, Christmas.